Hi, I'm Julie Hiert, and with me, as always, is Kate Fago, and together the two of us are making light to humans being. So this upcoming episode that you'll see has to do with the food minefield, but it's part two. And either last week or the week before, we're losing track of time, I did an intuitive coaching session, if you will, to connect with my guides, and talked with Kate about all the things that she's eating and how she feels and all of that. And so what you'll see is what would look like an intuitive coaching session with my guides for Kate. So I really hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, you know where to leave a comment, and we hope to hear from you. So stay tuned, watch the episode, and let us know what you think.
Back to the food thing, when you say, have you got any questions? Because I do appreciate Aslan's input. I've got myself in a real jam about all this. Part of this is a struggle with abundance, in that finding organic stuff is proving actually very difficult, organic meat. I have discovered that, and again, I was talking to someone else about this and they're like, duh, but I didn't realize that organic, certainly in Britain, that organic actually has welfare standards in it. I did not know that. I thought organic was no pesticides, no this, no that, but actually they are the highest animal welfare standards that exist, way beyond free range, which I didn't know. So whereas I've always bought free range chicken, I've never bought organic.
Okay.
Because although I totally believe that I am worthy of organic and I think all food should be organic, etc., it's like 3 times the price. It's just astronomically expensive. But you know, this thing with the dairy has really sort of flummoxed me. I mean, I've been a week without dairy. I can't say I feel any better. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with me, but I was sort of hoping for some enormous eureka moment about how brilliant my health would be. Not feeling that at all. But I mean, I will do it for 30 days. But I'm really stuck now about, I'm running out of food because I don't want to buy any more meat that's not organic. I also feed the cat raw meat. Well, you know, I don't know if I can afford to, you know, and I'm really stuck now because on the one hand, I want to be really abundant, you know, and believe that my body is a temple and that the money that I need to nourish myself is, you know, will arrive. On the other hand, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to double our food bills. What am I don't know what to do, Julie? I really don't know what to do, and I'm running out of food. So I sort of compromised, and I thought, well, I'll buy the meat. I don't eat a lot of meat, and it's just me that eats meat. But all the stuff that Gary eats, I don't want to eat, even if I was prepared to give up meat. I don't want, you know, all this plant-based food, because A, a lot of it doesn't agree with me, and B, it's all highly processed. I don't want it. You know, I don't feel like I've just run out of choices of what I can fucking well eat.
So there's a couple things that I'm hearing my guides, there's more than Aslan's here now, but that I'm hearing my guides say. I hear them say, like, one, there's like layer on top of layer for you of all the different things that you've tried, right? And it's like too much. Like, same thing with the lambs. Like, not the same thing with the lambs. It's how do I want to say this? Like, your body is your body is your body. There's nothing wrong with it. So I'm just going to say that, and they're telling me to just say that and put that there. The other thing is, they're showing me, and it feels like where you live, there is farming as far as growing your own vegetables. And that is a place to start. And I know me, Julie, knows that that's additional time. Like, I don't know if I'm going to have time this year.
I would love to. I just haven't got around to it, and I fully intend to.
Yeah.
I just haven't, you know, I haven't got the space right now. It needs to be prepped, and I have to plan it in advance.
So that's one thing they say is, like, grow your own food so that you don't, there's that aspect of it, because you have the chickens, not that you will eat your chickens, but they have eggs. So you've got the eggs and you've got stuff you can grow yourself. No, you don't eat the eggs.
They don't lay.
Oh, they don't lay.
They're on hormones to stop them laying because they're old.
Oh God. Okay. Well, then the other thing,
But I can buy organic eggs, things like that. I'm more than happy, you know.
yeah.
Eggs are the only thing I'm eating at the moment because I'm running out, and all my non-organic salmon that I have in the freezer that I'm working my way through. But I've run out of meat altogether. Fortunately, the guests left some bacon in the fridge. It looked like it had come from a farm shop, so I ate that.
Well,
I actually haven't found anyone that will, you know, I've found these organic places, and they're either just not available because of today. It's today. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's just isn't stuff available.
not, do you have, because the other thing they're saying is farmers markets. Like, is there not a place like in town where the farmers come and sell their stuff?
There is.
Okay.
And but I think that was the last thing, and it's all these layers, right? It's
Yeah.
like, is that a lot of them aren't certified organic, and in my head I was like, oh, what a relief. Now I know that organic is welfare. I can just look for that label and that's all I need to worry about. But of course, a lot of these farms that maybe do have high welfare aren't actually organic for other reasons.
Yeah, like it costs money to get that certification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, now I'm right back to square one because I don't know who's. It's because personally, if I had really high welfare standards, that would be all over my website. That would be a big selling point. And
Yeah.
I can't find it on their website. So I'm like, I'm not sure that they are really high on animal welfare. So then it's become an absolute pain in the ass. And what are we going to feed you, Sally? Because I'm sure your poussin aren't fucking organic. Did you hear that? It's just
Yeah.
like, you don't care, dear.
There's so much, like I just feel like they're having me want to shake my arms. Like there's just so many rules you have put on yourself about what you should eat, when instead everything you need is actually right in front of you, either from your garden, which may not exist, and the farmer's market. And it's all right there. And so these labels that are invented by humans and made up, which one could say is part of the illusion. And in the US, we have so many different certifications that they've watered themselves down. Nobody knows what is really true here. I didn't realize that England had some of the more.
Well, we don't. I mean, organic is really the only one, and that's the only one I would trust now.
Yeah, and see, that doesn't necessarily say the same thing. Your organic standards aren't necessarily the same organic standards for us. So it's because, well, lots of reasons, which is all part of illusion. If you know where the food comes from, that is, to me, that's what I'm hearing is the key. Know where your food comes from. And that will help. The don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Like there's no way for, like they're having me feel like there's really no true way to reset your physical body in don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Because it's also denial, right? This, because Abraham is coming forward to, like, there's all that denial part. Instead, know where your food comes from, and honor the cycle in your area of where food comes from. The other thing, though, that I'm being reminded of is I told a client yesterday, they're having some trouble, and I said, you know, I'm being told to eat root vegetables, beets and carrots and sweet potatoes, things that come from in the ground to help ground us too. I feel like that's a part of it, but that's not the big thing for you. The big thing is know where your food comes from. Just use that guidance and allow it to be, instead of all of the labels.
Bought a veg box from a local farm, but I can't. And of course, I'm having to throw stuff away because of the low histamine. So that's no good. So I've had to stop that.
But see, the histamine thing might just be another layer. It just feels like another layer. And I'm not trying to go against.
No, I'm not actually following it that closely, but
Yeah.
I'm following I'm doing the wild fit at the moment. So at the moment, this is another thing. I think I told you this. My sister said, "Oh, I feel like this dairy thing. You've just used it as another way to beat yourself up." And I was like, "You were the one that told me to do this fucking course,
Yeah.
which is very close to how I eat anyway. Except now it's taken dairy away from me."
Yeah.
You know, I feel very resentful now that actually, and I resent the fact that like she was implying that I am somehow punishing myself. Am I? Maybe I am.
There is a lot of attention on the diet for you, and I don't know all of how you feel. I know a little bit about how you feel. I will say that the way when you were talking about dairy in the very beginning and how you don't feel any different, to me, and I got this little download when my stepdaughter went off of dairy. Her hair looked amazing and her skin cleared up, and she wasn't necessarily that she felt very better getting off of dairy, but there were other aspects that manifested itself in getting off of dairy. That, just saying that, they just keep coming back to it's instead of denying or cutting stuff out, instead of that feeling and mentality, it's more like, this is in my area, this is what is available to me, because this is what is raised and harvested around me, and that is what I need to focus on, and let the rules and the labels go away and just focus on that for however long, a month, and see how it feels. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
It does.
Yeah.
But of course my brain's going, but I've now, I'm on this Wild Fit for 12 weeks and I'm only on week 5.
Oh.
Am I willing to stop? There's a courier's just come. By the way, as we were talking, I didn't know this because I would have turned it off. Hang on. So I'm just going to have to. I'll be back in a second. Sorry about that. Oh, Julie, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I just,
Yes.
as I'm just asking, is there anything other clarification like this? I watched this lecture on Hildegard of Bingen, which I don't know much about, but she was very much in the 12th century, very much about this cycle of what is available to eat and to be harvested. So are there people that sell game there too? Like, I don't know, do you have deer and elk or stuff like that there that people hunt and can sell?
I think it's a buffalo farm. I don't know. I'm finding that, given that, you know, typically you can find just about anything online, I'm actually finding it really hard. You know, if I Google ethical meat production in Scotland, it's not coming up with a lot for me.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a barrier because you're not supposed to, you're putting too much labels on, is how it feels like. There's a barrier there that's being erected to get you to see like what's in front of you.
But I guess my issue is I don't want to give up meat, but I don't want to be part of the suffering. Therefore, I have to find, you know, this isn't just well, is it? I don't know. I mean, the reason why my sister said this hurts me, maybe there is something in it, but I'm not deliberately trying to punish myself. But the net result is I am. But I don't see a way. I do not want to give up meat.
Yeah.
There's just nothing I can fucking eat. I can't eat beans, they upset me. I can't eat soya meat, it upsets me. Everything else is really highly processed and upsets my stomach. I don't want to give up meat, but I don't want to be part of the cruelty.
I don't think well, what I'm being shown is little farms throughout where you are, not big, huge meat production, like, you know, here in the middle of the United States, we have these huge feedlots that go for acres and acres and acres. And I mean, just miles and miles of feedlots and all these cows shoved into them. I don't see that in your area.
Yeah.
Like, I see small farms where the farmers know their animals and they know, yes, they're still producing meat and a product, but they're not, it's not the same manufacturing aspect to it, if you will. And that to me feels, for you, feels very safe and feels more grounded. And so it's more like, where can you find the meat? What, you know, you said buffalo is actually really lean and good for you too. So how can you get access to those? And it may be that you have to spend a day driving from farm to farm to farm to pick up stuff. Although there were farmers markets that I've been to in the States where pork, chicken, buffalo, those farmers would come with big, huge coolers.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is a farmers market actually in Cleach, but then Kinross rather. But then we're back to, I mean, it's like if I buy free range chicken, I'll buy the biggest chicken I can, and it's about 7 or 8 pounds. If I buy one from New Mills, which actually is somewhere I used to go to collect cat food from, they are organic, but I think it's like 20 quid. You know, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. Now, okay, I only eat one chicken a week. I guess that's only £15 a week, but that's 60 quid a month just to buy a chicken, and that's not enough meat for me for a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to double my food bills.
Yeah. So then,
and then I don't know if that's okay. Do I? And on one hand, I just go, oh fuck it, money will arrive.
well, there's this that they're reminding. Okay, so they're also reminding me that by putting the restriction of the money on it too, now you've added just another layer onto it. And of course, money will come. The other thing, they're like, if you stop worrying about all the diets and all the other things that you've put on top around it, that actually, when you let go of all that, that frees up the money to be able to just buy the stuff that's in front of you. The other thing, though, is you have the power to muscle test if a chicken that you see that may be less expensive provides the same emotional and health. I mean, you could muscle test for whatever, because some of the farmers, I will say, smaller farmers, they just don't have the bandwidth to do all the.
No, I get that. And organic also means, you know, that your pastures have to have been free from chemicals for hundreds of however many years. You know, it's not something that's available to somebody.
Yeah, and farmers also don't have a lot of, sometimes don't have means, the smaller ones that are really doing the right thing, they don't have the means to market. They also don't have time to market themselves, like put a website together or whatever. But I'm sure they'll answer your questions when you go to the farmer's market and ask them and have a dialogue with them. That's connection. That's a big thing this month too, is connection, more connectivity with one another. And that field just like went bing when it was like, I could see you talking to a farmer, just asking a bunch of questions and they happily engaging with you. And in it, that right there would feel very settling to you.
Right, I should go to the farm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I lost you because
£300. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and I can. Yep.
I shall go to the farmer's market with £300 and come back with a week's food.
Oh, I see what so you've been saying all along the farmer's market's way more expensive than you can.
Well, they all are, all bespoke type. It's not just the farmer's market, but anything that's not supermarket, basically.
Yeah.
It does. It just feels like a huge burden, but it's like I feel resentful because I don't go looking for trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I said that to someone, was it Danielle? And she said, well, it seems to me that's exactly what you're doing.
I agree with her because it just feels like now, okay, so I had the layers upon layers, but now I feel like they're showing you in a very small confined space. And have you seen the little, I think it's like a video game where the human figure is like a stick and they go bing, and then they bang up against something, and then they bing, and they bang up against something else. And I just feel like that's you. No matter where you turn, there's something that tells you no.
Yes. So what do I do about it?
Stop.
Yes.
Stop. Just
what though? Just eat animals that have suffered.
No, you don't have to eat animals that suffered. Let's see, what am I asking? Because they keep coming back to buy what you know. Okay, but there's the money thing. So they're having me feel like it all works out. If you remove the barriers that these places where you get food have to meet these very strict Kate Foggo guidelines that she has created, which is human made, not divine made, because you put rules or whatever, that the rest of it will follow. You may begin to eat less because because if you know where the food is coming from and you have a relationship with the farmer, which is important not only to you, but to all. This also raises all of humanities to reconnect to the cycle of food and where it comes from, and this supermarket thing. We've gotten in this mindset that we must have food for cheap and we must have as much as we can choose from, which is totally unnatural. When you find the food and you know where it comes from and you have a relationship with the human that grew it, that's human experience, have a divine human experience for them. You actually become more fortified and nutrified, if that's a word, that you won't need as much food. Does that make sense?
Yes, but that feels restricted to me because I feel like I really don't eat a lot. I don't have a lot of choice of what I eat. I don't want to eat less.
You're talking choice of what you can and cannot eat. And this is purchase what's available to you. What sounds like if you go to the farmer's market, oh, look, Swiss chard, I can do blah, 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 blah with Swiss chard. I'm going to make that today.
I will go to the farmer's market and report back.
And you'll do another yes. And we'll see how, but muscle test and see which feels good to you. I guess it feels like very much of a presence making moment. It will help you be present. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like this fear and this worry and everything takes you out of being present. When you're eating food that is to honor your body and nourish your body and bring strength to your body. There's nothing wrong with also eating the same thing every day. I'm just going to say that as an aside because I just got that little ping.
I was quite happy eating the same thing every day, and then I'm on this Wild Fit program, and at the moment we eat fruit, and I know that the fruit will reduce because I sort of want to see it through because he takes you through all the seasons, albeit artificially at the moment, but that is part of it, is to go through all the seasons of what you eat. At the moment I eat a huge amount of fruit, but I liquidize it, don't juice it, it's actually liquidized. So I probably drink 3 glasses like that of its fruit juice with celery and cucumber and spinach in it. But I'm hungry an hour later. Fruit just doesn't satisfy me at all.
That makes total sense that fruit wouldn't satisfy you alone.
But now it's taking potatoes away from me. So I'm literally just eating what's left of the meat in the freezer and vegetables. I'm not allowed grains, I'm not allowed dairy, I'm not allowed anything. That's actually less than I could eat before. Which I don't mind, but I'm hungry.
It's also your body letting go. Like I hear them, that the guides are telling me, it's your body's letting go of stuff. Your body's letting go of what it thinks it needs. It's a 3D body, not the spiritual body, if that makes sense. Sometimes the 3D body gets stuck too, like with our minds. So your mind and
this is a good thing then, this Wild Fit.
Yeah. I don't feel like it's a bad thing. The only thing is that I do feel like it can hem you in a way that's not intended. it gives your mind, it gives your ego the opportunity to go, aha, see, not supposed to do that, so therefore we're not gonna, so there's another wall. So you just have to be super cognizant. And that's the other thing the lamb's bleat can help you with is, whoop, nope, here I go again. I'm not accepting it for who I am. So it also ties to the lambs. Did that make sense, what I just said? Because that came in really quick.
Trying to process that, because so let's look at a real life example.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing it's not the only thing I'm enjoying, but on this wild fit I'm allowed to eat, you have to eat fruit on an empty stomach, and I have not been able to eat dried fruit because it upsets my stomach, but I have been eating dried fruit because there is so little that I can eat, that I sometimes have dried fruit about now, like before I eat in the evenings.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Julie, but the thing is, it gives me really bad stomach. You know, this is not just all in my head. I want to cry now. It's not me just being difficult. It's like everything I try, is pushing against me. It's the box is getting smaller, but I don't feel like I don't see a way out, because it's not just the money, it's not just the histamine, it's not just the dried fruit, it's everything, every way I turn to find relief from one thing. So I did drop the histamine thing because I thought it's too many rules. I can't do this wild fit and not eat aubergines or not eat tomatoes, because then, like, what the fuck do I eat? Now I'm not eating dairy. You know, at least dairy was always safe for me. I could always eat dairy. Now I can't eat dairy. So I'm not following the low histamine.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, the dried fruit is still upsetting me, and yet, yeah, I absolutely feel like I'm being suffocated.
Where does the dried fruit come from? Do you make it or do you buy it?
No, it's just cheap shit from Asda.
Mm. There's your cheap shit.
I don't think it's only got cotton oil. It doesn't have any preservatives in it.
No, I don't know. I know, I have read sometimes that if you
I know
don't,
sulfur dioxide can irritate your stomach lining.
yeah, that if you don't know where it came from, the fruit for the beginning, if you don't know where it came from and you're not processing it, or drying it yourself, you're not, yeah, there's other things in it. I know dried fruit sometimes isn't always the best stuff.
No, and I suspect also, I suspect this is a histamine thing. This dried fruit is absolutely incredibly full of histamine, and maybe that's what happens. So all that happens is I fart terribly for about an hour, which is fine as long as I live in a house on my own, or stay away from my husband. But you know, it is an indication that my body's not enjoying it.
Right, yeah.
What do we do, Sally? Is it okay that Sally gets non-organic food? Sorry, Julie, this has turned into a fucking food minefield part 2.
I know, dog food is a challenge for me right now too, because of where I live. I can't get what I used to feed him, which was a raw patty. So, yeah.
I can send you a recipe.
Oh, please do. But
I can send you to a site.
Yeah.
As long as you have a butcher, for cats at least, she just needs X amount of meat, X amount of bone, X amount of offal, X amount of liver. So I just actually do for her 5% liver, 10 to 15% heart. I don't buy offal, but heart sort of works as both a flesh meat and an offal. And then I buy poussin, but it's a lot easier for a dog.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Because they can eat bigger bones.
Oh yeah, send me the site and then I'll see what I can find. I don't know. We'll see what I can find here.
But do you want to make it yourself? It's a pain in it. Well, I don't know if it would be for a dog.
I don't know. I might not be opposed to it. I'm kind of getting the sense, because I have actually been asking my guides, like, I'm trying so hard to find the food that not the specific food, but similar food. And I'm like, no, that's not it. It's either way too expensive. It's not enough for him. It's something else. And I'm like, okay, wait, this is teaching me something. It shouldn't be this hard. And then I keep getting, well, you could make it. A colleague of ours makes her own food. And I'm like, oh, I could take a day.
You could. There's just some proportions that you have to follow.
Yeah.
And for a dog, I think it's a lot easier. With a cat, it has to be edible bones for the cat, which is why I buy Poussin. And I'm not going to ask where they come from. I suspect they come from France. I'm sure they have a very happy life. I don't know how they're slaughtered. I imagine with a Poussin, it's pretty quick. I don't know. I'm not going to ask. And I top that up with beef, cheap beef from Asda.
Yeah.
You don't eat a lot, do you? But
I'm just going to say, because I'm going to have to go here shortly.
Yes.
Just say that I hear, and I could actually feel like the pain. I could feel the way my abdomen felt, and I could feel like the whole the suffering and the grief. Like when you were just expressing it, I could feel it. And then but the idea of, I hear what the wild diet does or whatever, the wild fit, having you go through the seasons. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because to be able to be connected to the seasons and what is available when, good to know. They keep coming back to this. You have everything you need grown all around you, grown or harvested all around you. That is to connect your body that lives in Scotland to the earth, a part of it that is in Scotland. That is very key to this, and as simple as it can be. So, and you don't have to have beans. You don't have to have beans.
I love beans, but my stomach doesn't.
And maybe, yes, and might change. And food changes for humans all the time too. So maybe someday beans will come back for you. But you see lots of leafy greens.
I will go to the farmer's market. I actually keep meaning to, because it's a day out, isn't it?
Yeah. I think they're fun. You can buy flowers, buy some flowers.
See, money. I didn't think I had an issue with money. I'm all right with money until I have to spend money. And there's some things I think nothing of spending money on. Typically, that this is just such a hike that I worry that we can't afford it, or that I don't earn enough to justify it.
You just went up against the wall again that you've built for yourself.
Yeah, maybe if I just go, fuck it, I deserve it, money will come.
Yeah, your body's a temple. Money will come. Yeah, money will come.
Thank you, my love.
I hope it helps. I hope You're telling me it will, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because the one farm that I have found that ticks all the boxes is a place that I used to drive to get cat food from, and it's not just down the road, but it's in Perthshire. But when I look online, there's no chicken. But I think it's because, I don't know if it's because of the bird flu, that maybe because animals have been locked up, they're no longer allowed to call it free range because of the bird flu, even though, but they must still be selling it, just maybe they're not allowed to label it as organic free range because they weren't allowed out. Don't know. I could just get in touch with them and find out.
Know where it comes from. Talk to the farmers. I see you having chit chats with farmers, and they enjoy it as much as you do. So thank you for joining us this week for Making Light. I'm Julie Hirt. That's Kate Fago, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for being here.
Bye-bye.